details. If it's the sport you care about, we're talking about it. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Hi, welcome to HELL Double Hockey Sticks, because that's pretty much what it is today. I'm Ajay Salvesen. We'll talk to you in 1 month. Okay, just kidding. There. We'll let that play out. Welcome to the Full Court Press. This is a weird, like the last 24 hours have been some of the most undescribable in sports history. Think about it. When's the last time you remember several conference tournaments, sports championships, and one of the greatest events in sports history, the March Madness itself, being all called off? Now, of course, this is bigger than basketball. This is bigger than the College World Series. This is bigger than bigger than the athletes playing in the game itself. It is the coronavirus. How serious we take that is upon, how quick we are to get rid of it is based on how serious we take it. Right now, so we've all heard the cautions of how to handle the situation. Wash your hands. Don't go in big groups of people. If you're over 60, stay away. If you're under 3 years old, I don't know what the youngest age is. Oh, okay. Well, if you're young, just stay away. Murray School District canceled all school. Utah State shut it down. Utah's done the same thing, as has BYU. Spring sports is canceled. Utah Jazz basketball, as is the NBA, is suspended for at least 30 days. They will then re-engage in 30 days to talk about where they stand, how things are going. There is a lot to unfold and a lot to react to. We'll do our best to do so to give you the best coverage. This is transcendent. It's never happened before, and we hope to high heaven that it doesn't happen again. Love to get your reactions. You can text in if you wish at 435-339-0321. That's 435-339-0321. Your text and message data rights will be charged, or data will be charged as per contract to your service. 435-339-0321. Where does your feeling stand on this? Was there too much made of it? Did they do the right thing? Did we not give it enough time? Did the NCAA not wait long enough to say, you know what, let's see what happens? And let's see where this passes on in 2 weeks, and if we're through, then let's play the tournament? Did we react too quickly? Because other pro major sports were canceling, so the NCAA should, no matter what. They shouldn't postpone, they should cancel. Is that the thought process? Is that the correct thought process? Again, I was sitting next to Gabby the intern and Adam the intern. I was talking with them, and I'm just trying to make sense of it. I'm trying to make sense of the fact that this is bigger. Like, the virus is bigger than sports itself, but because we're a sports radio show, we're going to focus on the sports aspect of it. I understand that it's bigger, that there are people dying. I get it. But again, you've already heard those stories for the past 24, 48 hours. And if you want those stories, 610 AM KVNU does a great job about it, CNN, Fox, whatever. Go to those channels and you can hear about it. From the sports aspect of it, did we jump in the pool with both feet too early? Should we have waited? The MLB has suspended their season at least 2 weeks past opening day. Is that the correct time frame? NHL suspended their season. They're very optimistic they'll continue and finish out. Basketball says they're optimistic that they'll finish out the season. Problem is that in a month from now, last year, in 1 month, 30 days, the playoffs started. Game 1 of the first round was starting on April 13th. It is March 12th today. In 30 days, do we just skip the regular season and jump to postseason and take the standings as they are and play playoff basketball? Do you agree with that? And then, of course, March Madness. Like, where do you stand with this? This is a screwy subject here, and it's actually a sensitive one to the fact that a lot of seniors will not get to finish out their career playing in the NCAA tournament. Utah State Aggies have a few of those guys. But even more so, college spring sports will not be able to finish off their seasons. So think about the seniors who wanted to come play for their final year and now cannot because this has been canceled. I have a solution to this, and I'm not sure, I've read replies to the solution, and I'm not sure how it would be handled. It's mixed emotion both ways. And there's a couple of reasons why. Eric Frandsen now joins me here on the Full Court Press. 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan. Hi, Ajay. Hold on, I turn off. No, shut up. Shut up. Stop. Calm. Normal. 3 seconds.
Totally calm.
There you go. You're
totally calm.
You go, okay?
Yep.
I turn on Adam and Gabby's mic, sorry. Adam and Gabby, the intern, are also in studio with us. Grateful for all that they do for us.
Sorry, I'm a little tardy.
I'm kind of getting used to this crap.
Today has been, or the last 24 hours have been pretty fluid.
I love how you're like using, it's like a criminal when they use plausible deniability. When in regards of committing a crime, there's plausible deniability to it, so that's what they use for every time. You come out and use that, and I've heard it so many times. This is a fluid situation. Hey, I'm light because this is a fluid situation. Everybody, this is a crappy show because it's a fluid show. It's a fluid situation. Eric, it's...
Well, but yes, but in all seriousness, there are a lot of other stations here in the building and a lot of information happening today.
Yeah.
It really started building. I mean, this has been simmering for a couple of days. We've been talking about this for a while, but it really started building yesterday while we were on the show and moments before we went on the show. As more information was coming out that earlier in the day, the the Golden State Warriors in San Francisco said, we're going to play our games, but no fans in the arena. And then other conference tournaments started to say, okay, we'll play the games, but no fans in the arena, or we'll limit it to 125 people. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints earlier in the day said, we're going to still hold our general conference, but no people in the building. And those things started happening yesterday. It started reaching a whole new level of seriousness. And then we get to the evening, and we find out Rudy Gobert and Emmanuel Mudiay are ill and may not play for the Jazz. And at first, I really didn't even think about coronavirus. And then as it got closer, all of a sudden, game's delayed. It's not happening. Turns out Rudy Gobert had been tested positive. And we can go through it, but it was just a crazy night last night.
So here's the thing is, I get home, I turn on the radio, and I'm like, why isn't David doing play-by-play? And then he comes out and he says there are two suit officials in suits coming out to the court, speaking to the referees, who now just brought the coaches together, and now they're having conversation. And that's when I knew we had something serious happening. That's when I knew that, oh my gosh, someone is tested positive.
And there was a lot of uncertainty for a good 30, 45 minutes. Yeah. Like, the game is delayed. We
beat
don't
writers,
know why.
David Locke was on the air, and he's like, guys, I'm just hanging on the air. I have no idea what's going on.
They were not communicating with the media.
And so Adrian Leiser, the executive producer for the Utah Jazz, who produces those games in Salt Lake City, I love Adrian. Him and I are really close. I hit him up, and I said, what are you hearing? And he says, the OKC radio engineer had told him they're postponing the game. And I said, what are you thinking? He goes, I'm not even going to speculate. But I think if you put the puzzle pieces together, you realize what was going on. And then there was a conversation that Chris Paul was going to go over and see where Rudy was.
Well, he wanted to go to the bench and say, what's going on with Rudy? What has he got?
And they told him
all of them were like, go away.
Yeah,
stay away from us.
Don't come over here right now. We think,
so there's a question, like, were they going to just delay because, they weren't sure about Rudy's health? Well, I mean, we all know how it went down. And then early this morning, it's determined that Donovan Mitchell also has been confirmed. Charter jet for the Utah Jazz just touched down in Salt Lake just within the last 30 minutes.
Just did?
Just did. It's unknown if Rudy and Donovan were on that plane. But Emmanuel Mudiay has gone out on Twitter and said, I'm safe. I'm okay. There was some speculation that he too may be infected because he was ill.
Reports, yeah.
Jordan Clarkson has made it public that he has been cleared. George Niang has made it public that he has been cleared. Still a lot of other players that we don't know yet. But once the NBA made it official that we've got patient zero now in the NBA, and now we have to go back and retrace our steps. Where were the Jazz over the last 14 days? How many different people, referees, chartered planes, buses were they in contact with? And so now they decide to shut everything down. And then immediately after that, then all of the people with college sports start clamoring, saying, if the pros are doing it, the amateurs have to follow. And earlier today, conference tournaments start canceling left and right. And then we knew it was just a matter of time before the NCAA would cancel everything, and they did that this afternoon.
Well, here's the thing, is you saw it, but I didn't because I was too naive. You told me today in the hallway, you said they're going to cancel it by the end of the day. And I said, there's no way they'll postpone it. No.
Yeah, this morning I thought within 24 to 36 hours, the NCAA tournament would be done.
You said, though, with confidence, that it'd be canceled by the end of the day. I said postponed. And I'm still not sure why. In fact, 9315 just texted into the show, Eric. I'm really bummed because they've kind of overblown it. And I'm sure there had to be in some way that they could still have the tournament. No reason they couldn't have waited a month and then had it and finished the conference tournaments that hadn't been done. We've never canceled it for the flu or the swine flu that happened in 2009. By the way, I got to be honest, I don't even remember the swine flu in 2009. Now, granted, I've had 6 concussions since then, so my memory's pretty bad. I go meet somebody, and then 5 minutes later, I forget that it's their name, and it's like John or Jacob. But anyways, I don't remember the whole swine flu thing, which is crazy. But I'm with them. I don't know why the NCAA couldn't have gone on with the selection show, done it, waited it out for 2 weeks, and then let's play.
I agree. I mean, there are logistical and scheduling issues you're running up against, graduations and commencements and a lot of other things that start to creep in otherwise. But I'm with you, man. Why couldn't they postpone it?
Yeah.
And then say, look, before we start this thing up, everybody has to be tested and cleared.
And by the way, and you can still do this without fans.
Right.
You can still have it without fans.
But from the players, the coaches, the administrative staff that's going to be there, you all have to be cleared before we go. And if there's anybody who tests positive, then you still have to say, all right, that's it. We just can't do it.
But to just flat out cold turkey say, you know what, we're done.
But I don't know how they couldn't. I mean, like we talked about so many different times on this show over the last week, we live in a time and era when the peer pressure is so great that if you don't do something or say that you're going to do something, people come at you from out of the woodwork for being callous and uncaring and uninformed and that you don't care. It's this fine line between being informed and knowledgeable about what's going on. And I'm not trying to say like I'm in the dark here, and I'm not going to profess to be an expert either. But I think there's this fine line of being informed and then sharing information, but also being overly dramatic. And I've had a hard time today getting my head around where that line is and whether certain organizations have crossed that line. Certainly, it's better to be safe than sorry. It's better to err on the side of caution than to be too late. And it's harder to grapple with something that's spreading like wildfire. I get that. But I do think that there's been a lot of overreactions. But it's unprecedented.
Yeah.
Unprecedented.
We need to attack each subject with a sense of understanding of what's going on in each category. So, and I think the best way to honestly to go about it, we'll skip pick 6 today for obvious reasons, by the way.
What are we going to pick? How many new coronavirus cases by Saturday?
Oh, boo!
I mean, there's no sporting events.
You unmoldy corn dog.
I mean, there's
nothing. Bad.
There are no sports. There are not going to be any sports.
How many
for the next 2 weeks?
How many Bachelorette ladies does Peter go through in the final episode?
Yeah, pick 6 is irrelevant. And what we do today and tomorrow, there's plenty to discuss with what's happened. What we talk about next week and next Friday, I'm scared. I'm nervous. What are we going to discuss?
Well, I think we don't have a show.
There'll be a full week of no sports, and another week ahead of us of no sports.
I'd really love a day off. Here's the thing, is that we need to attack it like, subject by subject. Because you have people, Eric, that are texting into us asking about college basketball. You have people texting into us asking about Utah Jazz basketball. You have people texting and saying, why is college baseball being canceled? So we have to go subject by subject by subject. And I think we can start with, if we'd like to, since it is as local as it gets, the Utah State Aggies, and they're a chance to be in the NCAA tournament kiboshed by this coronavirus situation and it ending for them. Craig Smith just tweeted out a photo. I love every single one of these men. I love this team. All capital letters, by the way. Beautiful photo of the team celebrating the 2020 Mountain West Conference Championship. Eric, I'm sick for them. Like Abel Porter, Roche Grootfam, really probably Namish Keta, Sam Merrill.
Sam.
I mean, Sam's an obvious one. But there's other guys in there, too, that aren't going to get a chance to do this again. And then the question becomes, and I'll ask it, was that Craig Smith's last game? There's so much roads to drive on in this one.
Okay, since you opened the door for Utah State, and we're still talking about college basketball.
Let's stick with that.
Let's stick with that one for a moment. There have been some people saying, why couldn't you delay it? Why couldn't you postpone it? We've gone through that a little bit. There's also been some floating the idea of giving seniors an extra year of eligibility to give them one more shot, but that's going to be so messy.
Why?
And complicated.
Why?
Because they're not going to come back to the places where they were.
What do you mean?
If I'm granted an extra year of eligibility, I may choose to go to a different team, transfer to a different team. The team dynamic will be so different in a year. With the freshmen coming up, the college transfers coming in. So it's not like we can just freeze this team in place in this moment of time and say, we'll pick it up again in a year. It won't happen.
Just got a text from 0549. Aggies first to qualify them. Aggies first to qualify. They're the national champions. Love it. That's actually true.
I also saw something that said, let the record show that Duke was the first team disqualified from the NCAA tournament.
First time Duke's ever had a first round exit. But here's the thing.
I would don't see how that would I don't
think it'd be that big of a deal. I don't. If it's just like any other year, Eric, when transfers come out,
So you put your NBA aspirations on hold?
Yeah. Okay, no. You don't have to put them on hold, Eric. If you want to go to the NBA, go to the NBA. They're saying,
just you're given the opportunity for an extra year.
You have the chance to come back for one more year if you want to. If you want to go play pro, by all means, Godspeed, son. Go play pro basketball. Congratulations. Wish you the best. But if you want to come back, because think about it, Eric, there are seniors in baseball, college baseball, who are just 7, 8, 9 games into the season who just had their careers ended out of their hands.
Well, their career may not be ended. I mean,
what are you talking about? They can't come back.
They haven't canceled baseball.
Yes, they did. They canceled all spring sports. NCAA's canceled all spring sports, which is baseball, which means no College World Series.
Well, I thought they canceled championship events.
Which would probably mean the College World Series.
Which isn't until June.
But it's still a spring sport. I don't know. I'd love to get Emmett or whatever the fetch's name is, Panamami, whatever his name is, the NCAA commissioner dude on the line, and ask him to get a clarification on that. But when he says all spring sports, I think baseball, including championship events, which, by the way, the spring sport ends in June. Whether it ends in May or June, it still ends in the College World Series. That's still a championship college sanctioned event, which would tell me that they're not going to do it.
Here's the official statement from the NCAA earlier today. Today, NCAA President Mark Emmert and the Board of Governors canceled the Division I men's and women's 2020 basketball tournaments, as well as all remaining winter and spring NCAA championships. This decision is based on the evolving COVID-19 public health threat, our ability to ensure the events do not contribute to the spread of the pandemic, and the impracticality of hosting such events at any time during this academic year, given ongoing decisions by other entities. So I don't know that necessarily baseball is canceled. It just says the championships.
So then what are we playing for? Hey, everybody, here is a Capri-Sun drink and a crumble cookie.
Because the Mountain West came out and said all spring sports have been suspended. The Mountain West itself said that.
But again, championship events would include baseball, which is a spring sport, and it ends in June, though. The school year ends in May, but they still can. That's always been the case. We got a few texts rolling in. Hey, by the way, who's Howard Dean?
Isn't he the guy that ran for president once and was like the head of the Democratic National Committee?
4768 text in. Will Rudy Gobert be able to live down bringing down the NBA, especially by touching the mics? Is it a Howard Dean moment? We'll get to Rudy Gobert in our next segment, but who is... I hate to ask that. 4768, I'm going to ask you to help me out in texting in. Who is Howard Dean? That's sad that I don't know that. 9315 says that it's pretty high that Craig Smith is the coach next year. 2776 adds on, with the stock market crashing, less money to buy out coaches, more likely coach stays. I'd be okay with it.
You know what? For me, right now, it's impossible to predict what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks, let alone what's going to happen in the next 2 months.
Yeah, right.
Here is, you know what? Let's do this. Let's take a break. Let's call a timeout from the Full Court Press. I've got the statement from the Mountain West specifically of how they're responding to spring sports as we talk about baseball. Certainly, Utah State spring football could be affected.
Yeah, Boise State's actually shut down any media availability to their practices at all whatsoever.
It's affecting recruiting.
Yeah, they sent home coaches.
Players are saying, they're telling young high school players, you can't travel to our university. We don't want our coaches traveling to your school.
Yep.
It's far-reaching. So coming up on the other side, I'll read the statement from the Mountain West. We'll continue to look at how things are happening today. It's been a crazy, crazy 24 hours. Utah Jazz players are home now. There's some updates about them. And some of the other things that are going on with sports. Locally, high school sports are affected. The governor of Utah made an announcement today, and then UHSAA shortly announced their decision about high school sports. So I'll update you on all that coming up next year in the Full Court Press.
The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry, and I'm an actor.
We can get down someplace just outside of town. Bring the bottle.
I'm just not in the mood for some extra board curricular activity to freaking interrupt my show today.
Come on, you and Tom Barry are good buddies.
Yeah, Tom Barry can go... Never mind.
Go what? Where?
Go chew on some poison berries.
Oh.
Eat my poison berries. All right. Eric Frandsen, Ajay Salvesen, Full Court Press, 106 on FM, 1390 AM, The Fan, 106onthefan.com. A really, really just kind of more reaction of a day. If you've missed it and you've been hiding underneath a rock or staying away from the social media and TV, NBA basketball suspended for at least 30 days. They'll reconvene in 30 days to discuss where they are at. NCAA basketball, March Madness, not happening. NIT, nope. CBI, nada. That's it for college basketball. They are done for the season of 2020. NHL has also suspended their season. They're optimistic that they'll be able to bring it back. MLB suspended their season at least past 2 weeks of the opening day pitch.
Mountain West, as a conference, released a statement today. It was about noon our time. And basically, I'm not going to read the whole statement, but I'm going to jump ahead. It says, teams currently on the road competing may complete those events and then return to campus. Those teams that have not yet departed shall suspend travel immediately. Decisions with regard to the continuation of local practice activities in various sports like spring football are a matter of institutional discretion, depending on local conditions. Teams that have qualified for an NCAA championship event may participate at institutional discretion, subject to the status of those events as determined by the NCAA. Of course, this came out before the NCAA made their announcement that they were canceling men's basketball championships. Decisions regarding prospective student-athlete recruitment shall be made at institutional discretion on a case-by-case basis. And then finally, the status of sport programs which compete in other conferences shall be determined by the respective institutions and those conferences. So like gymnastics is in the Mountain Rim Gymnastics Conference.
Did you see?
So it's far-reaching. Everybody is shutting down. Everybody is shutting down. If there's anything that involves groups of people coming together, it's over for right now. Whatever it is, concert, play, movie, sporting event, school, at least for the universities, it's all getting shut down for at least a couple of weeks.
Really quickly, to answer your quick question, a writer who was on the trip in Oklahoma City, part of the Jazz Thunder trip, and the media beat writer, Sarah Ta, who does an incredible job.
She was amazing last night, by the way.
So Adrian Wojnarowski, who's been absolute garbage since this morning, and probably should be sober when he tweets, a charter flight carrying members of the Utah Jazz has landed back in Salt Lake City, league sources tell ESPN. It is immediately unclear if Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell were on the flight from Oklahoma City. So Sarah hops on and says, not unclear. They were not on the flight. So that answers that question. Mr. Wojnarowski needs to quit tweeting unless he has like 100% facts. He's kind of become one of those people of let me get it out first before anybody else does. Anyway, so there's that. No, but going back to Mountain West stuff, it's tough. Boise State was, this was the first time in 40 years that they became a sanctioned scholarship baseball program. Excitement was all over there. That university to be able to play baseball, and now to have that taken away from them, especially the seniors. Eric, that's really the thing that keeps coming to my mind is the seniors who don't get a chance to play again, that had their season taken away from them, was something that was totally out of their control. Glad you agree. Wonderful. Okay, so let's go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get caught up on a couple of these different accounts.
No, go ahead.
Basically the mayor of Chicago, there's a report that he gathered all the professional sports teams in Chicago together.
Okay.
And said, look, if we do resume play, if you do resume play in any of your respective sports, try not to have games here in Chicago, or if you do, don't have fans in the stands until May 1st.
Okay.
And they all agreed to that.
Okay.
So I think you'll start to see in 30 days, whatever, we'll start to see sports pick up again, but it's unlikely we'll see fans in the stands for months because the team can control, checking their small group of players and personnel. They can't control the tens of thousands of other people who show up to watch the event. So it may be more than just Chicago doing something similar to that sporting events may start to resume, but it may be months still before we start to see fans have opportunities to go back to see these games in person.
Eric, I hate to do this, but I want to play a hypothetical game with you. If the NCAA tournament would have continued and Selection Sunday would have been aired on Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock, which you would have heard on this station at 4 p.m. on 106.9 FM, how would you have seeded those teams? What would the process for you have been if you're part of that committee? How would you have seeded those teams despite all the conferences canceling their tournaments?
I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you see you have a system in place to guarantee spots and opportunities to go. And if the Mountain West tournament was happening this week instead of last week, would Utah State be dancing if they're going to just go based off of what happened in the regular season?
Yeah.
I'd probably say no. So I don't know how you seed that. I don't know who you invite and who you leave home. And then do you even crown a champion this year for college basketball?
So that's the thing.
Because there's no function in place to decide the winner.
So here's the thing: is when the ACC tournament decided to cancel and postpone, and they named Florida State the champions, Florida State was like, "I don't know if I want this right now. I don't know if I want to be a part of this celebration. It's not even a celebration. It's bittersweet. Hey, we've been named the conference champions. Hey guys, if they're canceling this, that means they're probably canceling the tournament. So good for us." It's awkward. It's incredibly awkward. I don't know how else to put it. Again, this the COVID-19 impact on sports. By the way, just today alone, NCAA tournament canceled. NHL, MLB, MLS all postponed. Baseball's postponed for 2 weeks past opening day. NFL owners meeting canceled. That means we don't get to see Bill Belichick drink a cup of orange juice. Boston Marathon postponed. All NCAA spring sports canceled. ATP postponed for 6 weeks. 10 plus NFL teams closing facilities and canceling travel for scouting and other meetings. Here's the other question, Eric. When is the NFL Pro Day? That's in a week or two? No, that's in a week or two. That's in 2 weeks.
For Utah State?
Yeah. That's in March. That's like towards the end of March.
I thought it was April.
Nope, it's towards the end of March. I'm definitely 100% sure of that.
Okay.
So would they cancel it? Because that'd be a group of 100 plus, media and everything.
Yeah, media, scouts, and players, and coaches.
Do they X out the media and say no media, scouts only with the players and coaches, and that's it?
Because the NFL draft is
April,
mid-April, late April?
Yeah, mid-April. But do you... Because USU would cancel all their events, right? That were necessary to cancel till April 8th, or at least through April 8th. So, do they have a pro day here? That's another big thing. Some of those kids trying to get a chance to come in front of NFL scouts, and now they won't
all
have
the
a chance
excitement
to.
about the carryover from Jordan Love, all the attention that he was going to be getting.
And the scouts that he was going to drag with him as he came to pro day.
Yeah.
Now that becomes an issue. It just... unreal, and it's I'm not sure how else to put it. There's a lot of adjectives you could use, a lot of ways you could describe it. And again, I have to remind everybody what is going on. The virus itself is bigger than sports, absolutely bigger than sports. Okay, we're talking about lives at risk. We already have 2 players from the Utah Jazz that were positive on being tested for the coronavirus. So it's bigger than sports itself. But at the same time, I felt like there was ways to solve the problem. One of them is postponing, not canceling, just postponing the NCAA tournament and waiting it out.
Right, because I think there's this, within the last few days, the level of fear, anxiety, and uncertainty has risen to crazy levels. And I think out of an abundance of caution, everybody's like, yeah, okay, let's take a step back. Let's socially isolate so we don't add to this spread. But it's too bad. By the way, going back to our text line, somebody says search Howard Dean scream. Okay, in that case I know exactly what you're talking about. He was a candidate for president and he went kind of nutso.
Oh, is it the guy that was like screaming at the pole or something?
Well, at a rally.
Yeah, I remember that guy.
But anyway, then he asks she, whoever, 4768 also texts in, says, what are the effects of COVID-19 on local high school sports? Any word from UHSAA? The answer is yes, there is an answer.
The answer is there is an answer.
And I'm going to pull it up and read it to you. You can see it on CashValleyDaily.com. Their release came out this afternoon. Suspension of, there's a state debate championship that was supposed to be taking place this weekend. That's been suspended. All spring activities beginning on Monday are suspended for at least 2 weeks. So then you get into spring break after that. So there's the mandated suspension for 2 weeks, and there's a spring break. And then once you get into that second week of April, we'll see where things are at.
Gabby's going to be devastated because she has a guy on the debate team that she really loves talking to. She was thrilled to go watch him.
All out-of-state school-related travel has been suspended immediately. So if there was a team heading out of state for a tournament, like a baseball or softball tournament, I guess softball's in the fall, isn't it? But that's been suspended.
No, softball's in the spring.
That's in the spring? Okay. Soccer, suspended.
Boys soccer, yep. By the way, it's a he. So he, thank you to him.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Appreciate the text coming in again. You can text in at 435-339-0321 to Eric's statement about local high school sports and from the UHSAA or about whatever we got going on here. Even school Yellowstone trips were canceled. Yes, correct.
Okay, one more thing. For a good chunk of people around here in our listening audience, all meetings and activities of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are canceled.
Oh, they did cancel them.
Effective immediately.
Do you know for how long? Does it say? Because I'd love to have at least 3 Sundays off.
It goes along with what Governor Herbert talked about earlier today in his press conference that any gathering of more than 100 people should not happen for 2 weeks.
Okay, so we got.
And so the church issued a statement saying, beginning immediately, all public gatherings of church members are being temporarily suspended worldwide until further notice.
Now, they say temporarily. Does that lead up? I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this on our station or not, but does that lead up to LDS General Conference?
Well,
that's my guess.
Well, they've already made a statement on that. That was yesterday. They're still going to do their general conference, but they're not going to let anybody in.
Okay, so I wonder if this temporary suspension leads up to they just say, you know what, we're going to take that next 3 Sundays off, and then general conference will give our statement and whatever else on that. I don't know. That could be interesting.
Yeah. Well, they're saying it includes state conferences, leadership conferences, large gatherings, public worship services, including sacrament meetings, branch, ward, and stake activities.
Dude, I'm going to get so much done on my Madden franchise mode. Oh, my gosh. Yummy. We got to take a break. Coming back, Rudy Gobert had an incident about a week ago where he touched all these mics. Monday. Where he touched all these mics just out of humor. And then all heck broke loose. And now Rudy Gobert is being held as the villain around the whole entire NBA of beat writers and even just sports world itself. Is it fair or not? We'll get into that. Eric Frandsen on that side. I'm Ajay Salvesen. Gabby the intern and Adam the intern is with us as well. You're listening to the Full Court Press.
The Aggies, the Jazz, the high schools, the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
What's your favorite song? Does it make you smile? Do you think of me when you close your eyes?
It's Eric Frandsen on that side. I'm Ajay Salvesen at 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan, the Full Court Press on 106.9thefan.com. Missed any of our shows, you can podcast them on all podcast platforms, Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify. Man, this has just been a weird day. We were just talking off air, Eric, like the content next week's going to have to really be reaching out to, being more creative with what we can come up with, because the listeners only want to listen about the coronavirus for so long before they're like, look, I've heard it from Dan Patrick, I've heard it from Colin Coward, I've heard it from the idiot named Doug Gottlieb, and I listened to it at your guys' station after your show was done, and it's like I just can't do it anymore. And so, for you listeners, we will have the respect enough that we'll try to be more creative with it. We got 2 great interns who can help us out as well,
and still try to be local.
And put it all together. So
we'll get a game plan together. We have a good team here.
So what we're trying to say is that we are screwed. Okay, we are in full panic mode. Red alert. This isn't going to work.
Make lemonade out of lemons.
Tell Adam that it's a good thing you don't stick with spring frisbee. Adam, what the hell is spring frisbee?
So I played on the Skyview Ultimate team.
Nerd!
Yeah, it was awesome. I was the team captain too. It was awesome. But
You're the team captain?
Yeah.
You should put that on your resume and see where it gets you.
I have done that though. But it was like for a class.
Wait, you put it on your resume?
It was for a class. It was like adult roles.
I don't care. You still put it on your resume?
No, well, I did.
You
Because
did.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you put everything on your resume.
Just because Gabby's laughing at you doesn't mean you can't deny it now.
Okay, well,
now you're
I
full
did.
blown.
I did. But Ultimate was fun.
Utah Jazz are in quite the mix themselves. Last night in a game that they were supposed to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder, just as tip-off was about to start, introductions were already done. Team officials, in suits, by the way, came sprinting out onto the court, talked to the referees who grabbed the coaches, pulled them together, and then said the teams will go back to the locker rooms. My favorite part of the whole thing is the PA announcer screaming out, "You're just fine. Everybody's okay." Was one of the best things ever. Then was found out that Rudy Gobert, who had been sick in the previous couple of days, was tested positive for the coronavirus. With that, this morning it was announced even more shocking news to the Utah Jazz. Donovan Mitchell was tested positive for the coronavirus. Now, others were tested as well, including the PR team, beat writers, coaches, staff members, including the equipment manager, and all of them came out negative except for one guy, and that was Donovan Mitchell. So then all became this like pitchforks and fire sticks and swords towards Rudy Gobert on social media, towards Rudy Gobert on national television, towards Rudy Gobert on national radio. Eric, what a beating he has taken thus far. And he finally, I don't know if you have his statement loaded up.
I do.
But if you'll read his statement from Rudy Gobert.
So this is what Rudy Gobert posted on Instagram earlier today. I want to thank everyone for the outpouring of concern and support over the last 24 hours. I've gone through so many emotions since learning of my diagnosis, mostly fear, anxiety, and embarrassment. The first and most important thing is I would like to publicly apologize to the people that I may have endangered. At the time, I had no idea I was even infected. I was careless and make no excuse. I hope my story serves as a warning and causes everyone to take this seriously. I'll do whatever I can to support using my experience as a way to educate others and prevent the spread of this virus. I am under great care and will fully recover. Thank you again for all your support. I encourage everyone to take all the steps to stay safe and healthy. Love.
And then Donovan Mitchell also put out a statement as well to, I guess, to counteract with what's going on. Do you have that?
Yeah, because later he was confirmed to be positive for coronavirus. This is what he said later today. Thanks to everyone who has been reaching out since hearing the news about my positive test. We're all learning more about the seriousness of this situation, and hopefully people can continue to educate themselves and realize that they need to behave responsibly both for their own health and for the well-being of those around them. I appreciate the authorities in Oklahoma who were helpful with the testing process and everyone from the Utah Jazz who have been so supportive. I'm going to keep following the advice of our medical staff and hope that we can all come together and be there for each other and our neighbors who need our help.
Now, Utah Jazz coach Quinn Snyder, this according to Jeff Goodman, had multiple meetings with the players about the seriousness of the coronavirus, source told the stadium. Also had a doctor come in and talk to them separately. Maybe I'm looking into this too much, but in Donovan Mitchell's statement, do you feel like he took a slight jab at Rudy Gobert?
Maybe.
A, he didn't mention his name, just to even wish him the best. And B, the whole hopefully we'll handle it better. Or more carefully, I should say.
Yeah, Rudy was just being playful and just trying to say, look, this is being overblown. I don't think this is that serious. But I saw those media members who were in that room that day, last night. They were all talking about going down to their local clinics to be tested if they were in Salt Lake. Some of them were in Oklahoma, and they were all nervous. So, but look, Rudy Gobert, it's still a little unknown about how he contracted the disease and when he contracted the disease. So if he didn't touch all those microphones, would we still have the same reaction? Like, oh my gosh, Rudy Gobert, what was he doing out on the court, infecting other players and referees? Instead, they're focusing on him touching some microphones.
Adam, you look like you want to share a thought.
So just going through, because you asked me to do see what people are saying about Rudy Gobert, and just going through Twitter. If I was Rudy and Donovan, I would delete social media as fast as I can.
Yeah, I would.
Oh my gosh,
I would agree with that.
Some of the stuff I would
agree with that.
I'm royally ticked off for Rudy Gobert. Like some of the stuff that I was reading on Twitter and things like that, I was ready to just start going crazy against some people. So again, it sucks. And Gobert, like we said, we try to make light of a situation that at first I didn't think was a big deal, but now you can see it's turned into something quite big.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I feel sorry for Rudy. I think, obviously, he can be an example. You can say, hey, this is why you're an NBA player. You're held to a higher standard. You can't joke around like this with media and things like that and other fans. But again, I feel like people are bagging on Rudy Gobert when right now all he needs is, I guess, support, prayers, and good vibes his way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's an extent where, Rudy Gobert, he was just playing around, but at the same time, with the situation as what it was, you have to be really, really smart. And he made a mistake. He realizes that. He feels horrible about it, so people need to lay off, including you, Adrian Wojnarowski. Here, by the way, I need to read this off of the statement from Utah State Athletics, Mr. USU Vice President and Athletics Director John Hartwell. He says, quote, Utah State University and USU Athletics are closely monitoring the COVID-19 outbreak. We are continually getting updates as it relates to our spring sports competition, which they later, by the way, this statement was released last night. They later canceled all spring sports. And as it relates to our spring sports competition, out-of-season practices, and upcoming home and away athletic events. As of today, we have not placed any restrictions on athletic competitions. That, of course, now has changed today. They have now canceled all those spring competition sports and athletic events and all travel as well. All right, coming back, we'll wrap it up the first hour of the Full Court Press. We'll get you ready for the second hour and more. It's Eric Frandsen, Ajay Salvesen, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
In the sports you care about, the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Derek Frandsen, Ajay Salvesen, Full Court Press. We're going to wrap up the first hour with you. It's in the final 60 seconds. Just to recap everything that's gone on. No NCAA tournament. NBA suspended for 30 days, at least. They'll reconvene after the 30 days to discuss where they stand at. MLB suspended 2 weeks past opening day, and NHL is postponed. All college
Major League Soccer's been taking a break.
College spring sports is canceled.
Did get some clarification that the College World Series has been canceled.
Yeah, which is a bummer. A summer tradition unlike any other. It is a beautiful thing to watch. I love college baseball. And so that's where it leaves us. High school sports.
Postponed for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. If you go to church, then you don't have church for 2 weeks. Congratulations. I mean, are we missing anything else here, Eric?
There's a lot of other events. Any concert, any play, any musical, any sporting event that was going to have more than 100 people attending, just consider it canceled or postponed.
We'll still be back for the second hour, coming up here on the Full Court Press.